Hi, my name is Nancy Telfer. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make kombucha. Now, making kombucha, a lot of people are afraid of it. I was terrified of it, and it looks gross. Here's one. This has been 8 days, so this is ready to bottle. So we're actually going to start in the middle of the process. So, like I said, this has been sitting on my counter for 8 days. I just use a coffee filter and elastic to cover it. And so now what you would do is you take the culture out. I just use my hands, clean hands, and I reach in. Can you see all the bubbles? And then I just have a mason jar and put it inside of it. Obviously I have lots of little cultures going on here. Every batch you make, there's more cultures. They just keep feeding off of the culture. Like it just keeps making more and more. So now, normally I do this in my sink so I'm not spilling everywhere. So I would take this. Okay, so you've got the culture and it's in a jar waiting for a batch. So now you take this and I pour it into jars. Now you can use any jar you want. You can use mason jars, you can use the fancy jars with the locks. I just have obviously a bunch of bottles that I kept from a kombucha company, and I just keep bottling in it. Alright, so I usually leave a couple inches of space. The size of this jar will do 8 bottles for me. You can do it as much as you want. Like I could probably cut it down to 7 jars, but I kind of like having the extra jar. So let's see how bubbly it is. Now with kombucha, basically you're adding a good bacteria to your body, which helps you in your digestion. It helps you, your immune system will be boosted. That was a huge culture that just went in there. Did you see that? Now when you buy kombucha, there's always, not always, but a lot of times there is a culture growing in the bottle. Now I save the end of it. I'll see if any of these jars, maybe this one here, a little bit more in there. They're all fairly even, and then the rest of this I'll pour with the culture that I took out. And I got a little bit of extra here, so I'm gonna pour that over here. Now, sometimes, like if it's really bad, I'll clean this, but otherwise I just start my next batch. So I'm just gonna put that there for now. So this now is ready for some juice. And this one here is the apple mango. And you can get that at the Gentle Rain in Stratford. And this is all I do. I just pour a little bit in each jar, each bottle. And this will now sit on my counter for 4 to 6 days. Usually about the 4th day I put one in the fridge, because by then I want to drink it. You can tell by the bubbles. Like once it starts fermenting big time on your counter, you don't want them blowing up. It has a tendency to do that if you leave it sitting there for a long time. So now you just put the lids on nice and tight, and then you let it sit in your counter like I said. Now, easy so far, right? Now the one here, this one here that got the big chunk of culture in there, what I normally do when I open my jars is I will pour it into a glass. I really don't like the texture of the culture when I'm drinking. It doesn't hurt you. Some people will just drink it. Like I said, I don't like it. So I've got one. This has been on my counter. This one is tart cherry, and it is, let's see if you can hear this. And then there's a culture on the top, so I'll pour it in here. And see the nice, it's bubbling quite good. Now, and I'll tell you when we get to the next part, which is actually the first part, of why I've got mine bubbling this much. But this is what I do every day to drink my kombucha. So I'll let the bubbles go down, and then I'll literally pick out the culture. You can kind of see it there. So that's a culture that's growing. So I'll just pour that in there. Okay, so that's the end. I'll drink that later. So now, to make the kombucha, you start off with your big jar, and you can get these jars anywhere. Now I've got 1 cup of sugar. It's just the raw sugar. This here, raw sugar. You can get that at Gentle Rain. And what I've put on the top here is a heaping tablespoon of coconut sugar. And it's the coconut sugar that is giving it the extra fizz. At least that's what I think. Now I have boiled the kettle, so that's just boiled water, and that's about as far as I go with that. Give that a good stir. And then the tea that I like, my favorite tea for my kombucha is the green tea with jasmine. Some of the other teas are fine, but that is my absolute favorite. And so what I do is I take, it comes with the string, so I take the string off, and then I just rip it off like that, and throw the tea in there. And that's it. That's all it is. Now I'll let this sit here, and it could sit probably for about 3 hours, 3-4 hours, until it completely cools down on its own. When it cools down, I'll take the tea bags out. I'll fill it up with cold water, probably to about here, you know, 3/4, and then this entire jar full of the cultures and the tea from the previous batch will get poured into here. And then I just sometimes I have to top it off with more cold water because I bring it right up to the edge. Then I'll get a new one of these, and I'll just cover it with an elastic, put it in the corner in my kitchen, and cover it with a towel. So it's kind of put away and in the dark. And that's it. It's pretty simple. And then you can just enjoy the batch when you're done. All right, cheers. I hope you learned lots, and I hope you go ahead and make your kombucha. You can get the culture at a health food store. I know Gentle Rain has it. If you were watching Gentle Rain Facebook page earlier, I was on there and I showed you the culture. All right, thanks, and have a fantastic day, and happy kombucha making.